We're going to jump to this next story. Cancel culture, baby. Dilbert is racist. Popular comic strip is canned by 77 newspapers after artist Scott Adams began incorporating anti-woke plot lines, including black character who identifies as white. It's brilliant. Good job, Scott. I mean, dude's speaking up and using his platform, and they come for him because of it. Now they do say over at the Daily Mail, Dilbert strips featured in newspapers. I don't know what Dilbert is, but Dilbert's been around forever. And so he's got a bunch of these comics. One, there's a guy and he's like, Dave, I need to boost our company's ESG rating, so I'm promoting you to be our CTO. I know you identify as white, so that won't help our ESG scores, but would it be too much trouble to identify as gay? He says, depends on how hard you want me to sell it. Just wear better shirts. Oh my. This is great. These comics are actually, they're hilarious. So there's one where it's like, I don't know if it's in here. One of the comics is they're introducing a black character. And he's like, I'd like to introduce you, to our new employee who's going to help bring our ESG score up. And then the black guy goes, identify as white. And he's like, you're ruining this. So anyway, look, Scott Adams obviously has been outspoken for a while now, but directly incorporating the stuff more and more into his comics. So what do? They can the comics. But you know what? This says to me, it's just winning. I know there's a lot of people who are like, you're getting canceled from newspapers. You think that's winning? I do, because people like Dilbert. There's going to be a lot of people who are like, yo, where's Dilbert? And I'm willing to bet. And if you're a fan of Dilbert, I'm willing to bet a lot of people are going to look at their newspapers, the ones that are still reading it, and be like, where's Dilbert? Or the websites. Dilbert. And they're going to call up and be like, hey, where's Dilbert? And they're going to be like, oh, we were offended by it, so we took it out. And they're going to be like, well, I like it. Bring it back.
Well, it also matters that you're here giving them more of a platform too, right? Like we talked about the other side. Right. You get canceled off one side, another side brings you up and rises you up. So that's a good, doing the right thing with the platform. But also what makes me scared is how the most powerful companies in the world are the ones that are the wokest right now. That's concerning. When you look at who's pushing all the wokeness on us, it's like Disney, it's like ESPN. It's like, wow, these are like powerful players in media.
Yeah,
it's concerning.
Well, that's because of the ESG score, which he was criticizing, which he got canceled for criticizing. Right. And I think that's more to why he got canceled than any other reason. Just yesterday at the Clinton Global Initiative, Bill Clinton was talking with the heads of BlackRock promoting ESG as somehow some kind of a great accomplishment. It's awesome. It's great. No, it's literally a Ponzi scheme for people to enrich themselves and push ideas that divide and conquer people and make them more dependent on the state. And when you look at these funds, when you look at what they're doing, it's absolutely sinister because they go to major corporations and say, hey, you're going to promote this idea. You're going to push this agenda. You don't, we're going to cut your funding. We're not going to give you any money. And the corporations listen.
It's also just going to bolster investment into China.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wonder 100%. How Alphabet's dealing with it, the parent company of YouTube. I haven't talked to anybody there. A parent company of Google, which is a parent company of, I think Alphabet owns YouTube now. I think it's a separate company. It could be Alphabet owns Google, which owns YouTube. But I'd love, if somebody out there at corporate wants to come on the show and talk about it, how you guys are dealing with ESG, I'd love to hear it. Because Alphabet's like one of the most, maybe the most powerful media company on earth right now.
The woke cult, the ESG stuff only operates as long as people don't know about it. Once regular people find out about it, they get mad. That's how you end up with a Republican winning in Virginia. Because people didn't know what was going on in schools. They found out what was going on in schools, and then they were like, okay, I'm voting against this. And it was suburban housewives. They voted against Trump. All of a sudden, they see what's going on. They're like, it's worse the other direction. So I think this is why they got to censor. It's why they're so adamant about controlling what you guys post or what other artists post, especially for bands. This is why I'm saying culture is so important. Because people just want to be entertained. They want to have a good time. They want to relax. They don't want to think about work. They don't want to think about hardship. They don't want to think about politics. They don't want to be brought down. Some people do. Some people love doom scrolling. But a lot of people, they're like, again, I'll shout out Blue Ridge Rock Fest because we were there just a couple weeks ago, or like 2 weeks ago. And the people who are there are like, I want to get out. I want to get away.
Right.
And so they go in mass to see Tenacious D.
In the rain. In the mud, dude.
To get sprayed down with fake blood by Guar.
So good.
We had some fun in the mud, brother.
Come on, my shoes, man.
Get wet.
It did me too.
But so then they know that these people up on stage at that moment have a lot of influence because you can look at a crowd and you can be singing and then you point the microphone and everyone in the crowd knows it's their turn to start singing. So you go up on stage and pull a John Lennon and say, this war in Ukraine is BS and we shouldn't be involved. And people are going to be like, do I cheer for that, or like what I like this band, so I'm in, I guess. That's what they didn't like about John Lennon, and that's why I think TV shows, movies, actors, the arts, they locked that down and made sure everybody was marching in lockstep.
They tried, but John was unstoppable. Man could not be stopped, dude.
Yes,
Remember
he was stopped.
Well, everyone
He was
stopped
very
eventually.
stoppable, yeah.
Everyone dies eventually, but John
but
Lennon,
he was young.
He was so famous that the media couldn't stop. Like, they would still go to his apartment with him and Yoko in bed. Like, what was it, the Sleep In for Peace they were doing? Like,
Yeah, when that happens, they get rid of you, it seems.
He was stopped. I mean, I don't know. There's a bunch of wild theories, but I can just say that some way or another, like, dude was stopped.
by John Mark Chapman, you mean? Or is that it?
Mark David
John Mark Chapman. Who the hell is that? Mark David Chapman.
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
don't know.
theories.
I don't know. I mean, maybe someone sent Chapman after him. Maybe because he was so
I don't know.
anti-war.
Or Chapman
The-
was just crazy.
You start thinking when you dive so deep into the layers of obviously listening to the show, hanging out with you guys, you're getting informed, right? You're learning more. You start questioning everything that you see when you see Lennon's death. When you start putting pieces together of influential people that have passed away and the messages that they were standing for. Anytime someone's uniting people, bringing people together, going anti-war, they don't last very long. And it makes you start really wondering, like, wow, like, am I a conspiracy theorist, or is this just how it is when you get too influential, where you're bigger than the media, you're larger than life, you're spreading this message that's bringing people together, making people love each
Michael
other.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain
do you
had
become
that
a problem?
Kurt Cobain had a tweet where he said he had evidence that would lead to the arrest of Hillary
is that what
Clinton.
he said?
And then,
What's Martin Luther King Jr. actually? His family filed a civil suit.
Someone's going to
against the
clip
FBI.
that. That was a joke.
Yeah, just a
Media
joke.
Matters is going to be like, Tim Pool thinks Kurt Cobain had Twitter.
I think it was Martin Luther King Jr.'s family filed a civil suit against the FBI for
Yeah.
a wrongful death.
Didn't they like send him a letter telling him to kill himself or something?
That was the FBI under their COINTELPRO program. When MLK was in jail, they actually called his wife and played the audio recordings of MLK cheating on his wife, and they also sent letters to MLK in jail saying, "Kill yourself. You're
JFK
screwed, your
too,
career's
another
over."
one.
So
That
this is
story's
what the
awesome.
this is
Well,
what
so
the
wait,
FBI, but this is what the FBI was doing decades ago, and not much has changed.
Who was it? The CIA's the heart attack gun?
Yes, that was with the commission.
This is why
hearings
people
that were
think
happening.
Breitbart was killed, because he was really young and he was extremely influential.
A lot of drugs too.
For sure.
I heard he was a
And-
big partier.
Right. But I'm saying the reason I'm not saying he was killed. I'm saying the reason people think it is because you have someone influential in politics, and then you go back 5 decades and they have a heart attack gun, and you're like, yeah, okay, well, it's possible, I guess. And it's really funny because then the media, like, you can cite the media, and then other journalists will then claim you're espousing conspiracy theories. It's the weirdest thing. You'd be like, hey, look at this story in the New York Times about a heart attack gun, and then they'll write a story about you saying you're an unhinged conspiracy theorist talking about heart attack guns, and it's like, I was just reading the newspaper, dude. Come on, man, leave me alone, you know.
Yeah.
But I wonder what you guys listening think. Do you think that, like, Lennon, John Lennon and like JFK were removed, or I mean, well, obviously they both were, but was it like overt high level politics, or was it lone weirdos?
Well, now when you see the media get behind something so hard, like some of the things we've seen, like I even brought it up the other day, like, and I know that this is a bad example, but it makes you think of the DC sniper, right? That guy that was just on the side picking people off. Once you start seeing how much the media went in on that story, when does the media go that in on something unless they want to manipulate the tale of the story, right? So it makes you start thinking, like, was that guy exiled, right? Was he in the system at some point, learned some information, exiled out? Like, is that another instance to this? Like, you start looking at all the things in your life that you're growing up. For me, one of them's JFK. Lennon's another one. You got Chris Cornell. You got Chester from Lincoln Park. You hear rumors about some of the things that they had going on in a sense of really trying to help eliminate child trafficking. And this is real, man. These are stories that we're hearing from their families, from people we know that know them. They were heavily involved in really helping, people be
were
exposed
claiming
on
that they were
child
gonna
trafficking.
expose it.
Yeah, and then they disappear. So it's like I'm sure it's a give and take. Some of it happened, some of it didn't. But you start questioning it all.
Dude, Charles Manson's another interesting one. He was part of MK Ultra. I believe it was MK Ultra. They wrote a book about it. This guy wrote this massive book. He's been on Rogan multiple times.
Let's fact check if that's correct here, because we know the Unabomber was a part of the MK Ultra programs, which are secret programs by the CIA that was doing horrific human experiments trying to figure out mind control. So this is done, documented on the record. Your tax dollars went towards the CIA, and they experimented on a lot of people who were unsuspecting subjects. And they were given acid, they were given a whole bunch of drugs that they couldn't handle. A lot of people even died under CIA experimentation, but the CIA, decades and decades ago, all the way in the 60s and 70s, was working on controlling people's minds and getting them to do things for them. Yep. So this is not a conspiracy. This is real. This happened.
All my family and friends listening right now, you get your minds blown, aren't you?
This is like The Guardian has this article, Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s by Tom O'Neill, with Dan Piepenbring review. I think there was a book, and I'll see if I can find the book title. Did the CIA's LSD labs make Manson the crazy? Because he would like get arrested and then they would let him out, and then he'd go and he'd get arrested again and they'd let him out again. You know, not like that never happens, I know, but
Here's a
Ted
question.
Kaczynski and the Unabomber was the big one.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.